Hi, this is Becky Nunn, and I'm going to be showing you how you can make this crystal necklace tutorial. We have a new kit that's out. It comes available in gold and in silver. What you'll need is the kit. It comes in a little package that looks like this with all the little parts and pieces on it. And to assemble it, especially this part up here, you will need to have some needle nose pliers, some glue, and toothpicks and a Q-tip. So to get started, what we're going to do first is we're going to, another thing you're going to need is to have a little rubbing alcohol. The kit and all of the supplies from Nunn Design, we offer them with a oxidization over the top of them. So in order to get that oxidization out, you need to clean off the oxidization with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. So this has it's a cast lead-free pewter piece that is plated with a 0.925 silver, and then it is oxidized to give it this nice rustic look. We're going to go ahead and just take that oxidization off with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. This will help when we put the glue on to have the glue stick nice to the clean surface. So I'm just going ahead and cleaning that off there. And you can see how much of the oxidization was on there with this leftover residue that's on my Q-tip. Now we're ready to go ahead and glue in the stone. In your side you have your little kit. Yikes, where is it? Oh, it's still in the little bag. There is a little stone in there. I have that out too. And we're going to go ahead and glue that into the bezel. So let's move that all aside. I like to have a little Ziploc bag that I can squeeze the glue onto and apply it into the bezel. This just gives me a nice surface that I can move around off of my main table when I'm done with the glue. So just squeeze out a little bit of, I'm using the E6000 glue, and I have a little toothpick right ready to go. And just swirl it around in the glue and pick up some. And then you're going to go ahead and smear a little bit around in the inside of the bezel. Then go ahead and pick up your stone and place it right into the center of that. And squish it down. Now if you had a little bit of glue come out the sides, you just use your other end of your toothpick and go ahead and clean up that glue while it's still nice and easy to move. Make sure your stone is positioned in the right place and then set that aside to dry. Next we're going to focus on doing the end parts of the kit. I showed you before in the gold sample. We are going to glue on these little bits right over here. These are called the crimp connectors, and it's what allows the satellite chain to have a place to attach onto the jump ring and the lobster clasp, making the closure. So we're going to be adding a little bit of glue onto there and attaching that all together. So for this part we will need the crimp connectors. These little pieces right here, these are crimp connectors. These are also brass and plated with the fine 0.99 fine silver. And we'll need, we'll need these, our chain, and we'll need these two jump rings. We'll need this for later, and our lobster clasp. On the satellite chain, the ends of this, in order for this ball right here not to slide off, this needs to be cut slightly short, about, two of these links worth about 1/16 of an inch. Your kits should already be cut, but if you're just using a bulk spool of the satellite chain, you want to trim this off using a pair of flush cutters about this 1/16 inch from the end, and that will allow your ball chain to continue to stay on. So I'm just going to go ahead and do both of those ends, double check that they're both the length that I need them to be. So about 1/16 of an inch. Just go ahead and cut that off like so. Then we're going to go ahead and squeeze out a little bit more glue on our little piece of plastic right here. And we're going to add some of these crimp end connectors onto the piece. For this you'll need your needle nose pliers. I like to hold on my needle nose pliers, hold the crimp connector on with the needle nose plier right like that, and then throw around your toothpick in the glue again and pick up a little dab of it, and then we're going to insert it right into the end of the crimp connector, just enough in there to give it a place to hang on to. Pick up the end of the satellite chain and place it inside of there, and then you can use another fresh toothpick just to make sure that it's in place. Now this is kind of a tricky part. You can either start to squeeze it together with your fingers like that. I know that was hard to see because I was blocking it, but I just squeezed it shut with my fingers, and you're going to want to have this part right here where the chain is going to thread through that little hole, and then you're going to use another pair of needle nose pliers to just kind of crimp it shut, and you'll have a nice round ball. If you don't have a nice round ball, you can see I have a little bit of a end there. You can, let me just put this down so I can show you better. You can use your needle nose pliers to kind of just squeeze that together and to kind of jockey it around until it's nice and flush. That's how you put that end onto the satellite chain. Now we're going to go ahead and do the other side, holding it with the needle nose pliers again. If my glue is starting to harden up, you might want to freshen that. Put a little dab inside of the base of the crimp connector, and the other end of the satellite ball chain inserts inside of there. I'm moving it down closer so I can pick up so the slack won't be pulled, the chain won't be pulled on that crimp connector as I'm poking my toothpick just to make sure that that's nice and secure in there. And then you can either squeeze it slightly, my fingers, I just squeezed it slightly shut, or you can use your needle nose pliers again to go in and close that up. You can see my chain is coming out the hole. I can double check my closure and adjust it. You just squeeze it slightly like that and you'll adjust it so that your crimp connector is now secure. Then we're going to go ahead and just add on to the end of this, while this is drying, we'll go ahead and add on these, this one's going to be up there. We're going to go ahead and add on the jump ring. It's the Nunn design. This is a 6mm textured jump ring. These are brass and plated with the 0.999 fine silver. Just thread that right onto your jump ring. So I'm holding my jump ring, I always don't know how to do this, at 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And then with one, I'm moving that direction. And with this one, I'm moving this direction. So I'm kind of like moving those together. And because this end right here, this crimp connector, this is so fine, you're going to want to make sure that your closure there is very flush. Otherwise, that crimp connector can pull out of there. So you just kind of move it back and forth. I'll show you again on the next one. You just move it kind of back and forth until that area is nice and flush. I'll show you on this one. So again, holding them at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Pulling with one and pushing with the other, I open up the jump ring. I'm going to thread on my crimp connector that I've attached onto the satellite chain, and this time I'm going to add also the lobster clasp because this side has the lobster clasp. And 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock again, and I'll show you. You just kind of close that up. Now if you have a big gap, you just kind of go back and forth until it's nice and flush. And now we have our chain. Just go ahead and attach that, and you can see the satellite chain now all assembled. So that's what that's going to look like. Oops. Sometimes if this is, you might have to open and close it a couple of times because that oxidization can get inside of the lobster clasp too. So just go ahead and thread on your jump ring, and now you have your chain. Now we're ready to attach the ends. We have a coin organic flat tag, and we have our crystal that we've already glued in here, and we're going to open using the needle nose pliers again, and this is the 9mm texture jump ring. So this holding at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Move one forward, move one back. We're going to thread on the organic tag, and then we're going to thread on the satellite chain. And I'm double checking that my lobster clasp is up at that end, because this is the way that the pendants are going to lay on here. I'll show you what I mean, otherwise this will be backwards. Then we're going to close the jump ring back up. So 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, grab that and then close that, making that nice and flush. So now our organic tag is attached, and we are ready to go ahead and attach the 6mm ring. This one was already open pretty wide. So it's our 6mm jump ring. We're going to thread on our crystal. These kits are using a Preciosa Czechoslovakian crystal in the center of that. And now I'm ready to hold this while I thread on my satellite chain again, and I close it up. 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and move that, and oops, move that back and forth until it is flush. And that is as simple as it gets. We have a chain with a nice little organic tag, and this again comes in the silver as well as the satellite chain with the gold. So this is Becky Nunn. I hope you enjoy learning how to make this kit from Nunn Design using the crystal necklace, making fun little projects like this. Thanks for joining me.